Hey everybody, Angel Arts here, and at long last, we are back with the Bravo Squad on their session 2. I know Dark has been very excited, as you can see him doing his little jig. We've sort of not neglected, we still haven't met in a couple of months. I had to reschedule this session twice, and as I explained to the Bravo Squad, it's because I needed to get the Alpha Squad session in first. Because their session 1 actually takes place chronologically before their session, Bravo Squad session 2. An Alpha Squad session 1 you're probably not going to see for a while. Purposely not to see for a while, because we revealed a little too many things. And by too many, I mean stuff that I don't want to reveal this moment. So, let us start with the warm-up question, shall we? One of the things I wanted to do for this session is I wanted to try to establish where each of the PCs lie in the sense of the relationship with each other, because I think that'll help with the role-playing moving forward. So I guess what I want to find out from each of you individually, and it'll be interesting to see if how much of you end up coinciding or not coinciding with what you guys say, is of the other 3 characters, because remember, you guys have basically been in the vault for about, I think we said 3 years? Did we say 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
You've been in the vault for 3 years. I, of course, was unconscious for like 6 months of that, but that's still a good chunk. Or 8 months?
8.
Oh, it was 8 months. 8 months. But still, that's still 2 years and 4 months, which is, not a negligible amount of time for you get to know her. So, my question is, which of the other 3 PCs do you think that your character is most acquainted to, and why? And which of the other PCs do you think your character might be the least acquainted to? Least acquainted doesn't necessarily mean that you like them the least. It just means maybe my character, for one reason, doesn't really interact with them as much, or doesn't really pay as much attention to them because of X, Y, and Z. I'm just curious, because that'll help, I think, figuring out how you guys are going to interact with each other from this point forward, now that we have some downtime.
So it's a lot easier to establish who we spent least time with, and that's probably Chen. The reason being, he doesn't really have a reason to spend lots of time hanging out with the doctor, really, since, as far as I'm aware, he hasn't had any health issues or anything like that. Like, I suppose his sister spent time with her, but I don't think that would lead to Darren necessarily doing so. I suppose most acquainted would probably be Aya, because they seem to have common friends and things like that, so it seems logical that they spend a lot of time together. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
Well, I could go.
Go ahead.
Let's see. I think that Aya might be at least... Yeah, I think she might be least acquainted with Lun, because he's that weird little Quarian that no one really knows. And then...
Ouch.
No one really knows him.
But she might be semi-related to Chen, because after all, Chen took care of her for so long, so maybe she stops in once in a while.
Gotcha.
Probably most acquainted probably is Chen, because I see Lund's probably spent a while working with Chen and studying under her. Probably least would have been Darren, because Darren would have had his jobs to do. I saw that face then.
I think Lun always tries to avoid movie nights like the plague, because we know how much Darren loves his fleet and flotilla. So.
I think Lund would have spent those movie nights doing more productive things like studying biology.
he will ambush you one day and make you watch. It's going to happen. Him watch, rather.
There's something about fleet and flotilla that happened in the Alpha Squad, which I thought was kind of funny. But anyway, we'll get to that episode later. How about you, Chen?
Crystal will probably be most acquainted with Aya, not just because of spending most amount of time with her on purpose, but it's just, I think, off camera, during our off hours, Malik plays Aya like very in other people's business. And she likes to, how do I say this?
She likes. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. She likes to what?
She likes to get into people's business.
Okay.
Like invade people's personal private space.
Okay.
So she's been around Aya a lot, not because she wanted to, but because Aya wanted to.
Something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
And the least
Yeah.
amount of time with Darren, just like it makes sense once I heard everybody's answers.
So our heroes are right now on board of the Normandy SR1, and you guys are making your way over into the universe. According to Mordin Solus, some Solarian guy that you picked up, you guys are heading towards the Citadel. Heading towards the Citadel.
Okay.
Lun, you are currently in the quarters of the main quarters of the SR1 Normandy. I think that in this SR1 there were these pods where people slept in. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think there were like actual like rooms. There were just these pods. So you're in one of the sleeping pods, and you're sort of tossing and turning because you are reliving an experience that you had in the past. It is your 16th birthday. I believe you know which part of your life this is referring to. So you are on your ship, and you're working with Voto, and you suddenly hear a signal, a distress signal.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
sounds like a cat, apparently. Voto kind of shakes her head and says, "Oh, Lon, like, did you really have to change the audio output of the notification systems on this ship? I know how much you love cats."
Sorry, I was meant to change that back.
So as long as you got rid of that sound file about the Nyan cat, I think is what you referred to it as, every single time we've got a message from the captain.
Well, it makes taking messages from father a lot easier. But okay. Anyway, should I go find out what it is?
Are you asking in character or out of character?
In character.
Yes, if that's what happened. Did you go by yourself?
Yeah, I think probably so. Voter would have been called up later on.
Okay. You will go off by yourself. I would probably say Voto is not completely okay with you going by yourself, but you probably insist, you're a big girl, you just turned 16, I'm not gonna, if there's anything like dangerous, you'll come back or let her know or something. So you're trying to prove that you're a big girl or boy?
Girl.
At the time. Girl. You're a big girl at the time. Surprise, surprise for those of you who didn't pick that up. So you get into one of the, I guess, one of the smaller ships that's docked into your big ship. And you fly over to where the distress signal is coming from. The ship that you get to, you mentioned in your story that it was a small ship. I would probably say that it's small compared to, one of the ships of the fleet, but it's not a small. It's probably a decent sized ship, but not huge. It's not a carrier.
Yeah.
Okay. You ask in the radio. You try to contact the person who is in distress, and asking for permission to board, because first you ask, what's wrong, what is your emergency, and all you can hear from the other end is heavy breathing, groaning. It sounds like whoever is on the other end is in pain and might not necessarily. He also sounds slightly delirious, like he's hallucinating. He's saying a lot of things that doesn't make sense to you. But you try not to let that phase you. You try not to let that stop you from trying to help whoever this person is. You ask for permission to board. You hear another groan, and then you see that there is a light that's flashing, I guess, in the part of the ship where you can connect, I guess, your ship onto, like into the air duct or whatever that thing is called, that lets you board the ship. So you dock on there, and the ship itself is fairly impressive, clearly human make, but it seems to be relatively new-ish, like it was built maybe within the last year or less, most likely less. And you don't see any crew. Like whoever has been flying the ship seems to have been managed to fly it on his own. And you make your way over to the cockpit, and there is a human gentleman there, and he is breathing very heavily. You've never seen this man before. You don't recognize him at all. And I guess, what do you do when you enter into the cockpit and you see this man?
Rush over, check like vitals, and try and call out to him, like, Sir, you all right, sir?
The man appears to not be... He's not that old. He's probably in his... You would guess maybe in his mid-20s? Maybe? Not too old. But definitely older than you. And you realize that this man has some sort of problem with a defective biotic amp. And whatever it is, you're not sure, maybe the biotic amp is rejecting him somehow, it's malfunctioning. The unfortunate thing is this is like way over your head, and the man seems to be in critical condition. You feel like he can go at any moment. This man's dying, and you're not confident that you're going to be able to save him in time.
I'll radio into Voto.
You will radio to Voto, and she answers the phone. Lon, are you all right?
Voto, this man is dying. What do I do?
There's a human on the ship?
Yes, human. I think it's an amp issue, but I think he might be dying.
Oh, Kila, she says. The amp is probably rejecting his body somehow. What are his vital signs? Does he look like he can survive at least for another hour?
I'll kind of check him over, like, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. You're being very optimistic. As soon as you're saying that, the man groans, and he says the word, Lucas? Lucas?
Yes, sir. Yes? Is that your name?
The man holds up his hand as if reaching out towards you. You're looking at his eyes, and his eyes seem to be glazed over. His eyes are sort of like fluttering a bit, like he's having sort of a seizure. And he's starting to drool on the mouth.
I'll grab his hand quickly. It's like not sure what to do, so just grabbing his hand.
He says, "My son, I'm so sorry." He says, "I'm so sorry, I can't go. I have to leave you."
Yes, father.
He then tells you, "Take care of your mother for me, please, Lucas. I love you."
Kind of sits there and holds his hand for till he passes on.
He gasps for breath. You continue checking his vital signs, and his brain waves are going crazy. And finally, the man starts convulsing in pain. He is writhing. He's having a very violent seizure. This is something that is probably fairly frightening to you
Yeah.
to see this man, because the way he's going, it's not very peaceful at all. You will try to do what you can to ease his pain as possible, and you think that you're successful in at least subduing the pain. And finally, he begins to slow down his rhythmic, erratic pulses, his body, and with a few more tiny little convulsions, he remains frozen. You believe that he has passed on.
Yeah.
Voto is now on the video con and says, Lun, what happened? Lun, are you alright?
He passed away.
I'm so sorry, she says. Do you know who he was?
I'll have a look, but no, he didn't say. Should I bring him back to the ship?
We probably should try to find where his family is, if possible.
Yeah.
Are you alright, Loon? Has Loon witnessed somebody dying yet? Is this her first time? I'm just wondering if this is her first time with death, or
Yeah, first
this is
time.
her first time? Okay. So Voto would say, are you alright?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine. I'll bring him back to the ship. I guess we should bring this back as well. He kind of like points to the actual ship around him as well. Her even.
Okay. It is at that point that you start hearing a squeaking sound, and you begin to come out of your dream. You come out of this flashback, and your eyes begin to open, and from the pod that you're inside, you look towards the direction of the squeak, and you see a piejack looking at you with his head tilted over.
Kind of like goes to rub his eyes and is like, mask. It's like, then pets Lucas on the head like, morning, Lucas. I think it's morning. Ugh.
You pet Lucas on the head, and the piejack nuzzles his head towards your direction.
Is it morning, breakfast, afternoon? How long have I been asleep?
You do smell in the kitchen the sweet smell of, I guess it would probably be the dextro version of pancakes. Dextro version of pancakes, whatever you want to call that.
At least someone knows how to cook dextro food on this ship.
You see that right now Lucas actually has maybe like a piece of bread or something in his hand, and he's actually munching on it right now.
Kind of will pat shoulder for Lucas to jump on as he walks towards the kitchen.
You walk towards the kitchen, and there is Darren and Aya having breakfast. Would Crystal also be having breakfast with the crew, do you think, Chen?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you're in the small mess area of the SR1. It's a very modest mess area, if you remember from the game. And surprise, surprise, there is a krogan cooking in the mess area. Otto. He has prepared for you essentially both dextro and carbon-based pancakes with whatever sweeteners are actually friendly towards dextro creatures, as well as special maple syrup that actually comes from trees that are found in the jungles of the Hanar homeworld. It's very organic.
Well,
Good stuff.
at least Charles had the brains to send someone who could cook dextro food. I was here thinking I'd be on ration bars while you guys got to eat decent food.
You guys made a stop on the way over to the Citadel to gather supplies, and Otto was insistent, since it was his first time to actually work with food that was not, canned. He was insistent in trying to get the good stuff. So you guys are actually eating far better than you have ever eaten maybe in your lives, especially compared to the last 3 years.
Was he holding out? Was he holding out all this time?
No, I think that Otto was probably one of the people who helped cook in the mess area. It's just he didn't really have a chance to let his to spread out his wings because you can only do so much with spam. Only do so much with spam and sardines and pickled olives.
when was the trip to the Citadel?
You guys are not there yet. You are probably halfway to the Citadel right now. You just stopped off at some nearby space dock to get, supplies. Sort of like a space quickie mart. Space quickie mart, I guess.
In the yellow universe.
In the yellow universe. Yeah. You are still in the yellow universe. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're skipping over all that time, right? Okay.
No, I mean it's probably been. I would say that it's probably been a half a day since the last session. It's only been half a day. It hasn't. Not that much time has passed.
And everybody's healed up.
Yeah, everybody's healed up. So this is basically you arrived in the yellow galaxy in the probably mid to late afternoon. Got on the ship, traveled. You guys are probably exhausted. Fell asleep, and now this is the next morning. So not that much time has passed.
Yeah, then I'll kind of sit down and look to Chen going, Dr. Chen, does Medigel have an expiry date?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay.
There's something wrong with this.
No, just, bad sleep. I just wondered if maybe my Medigel has expired.
I don't know, I guess. It's a bit weird to be facing action again. Maybe it's just unsettled you.
Maybe.
What is Aya doing, by the way?
She's basically just sitting for herself, listening to the others.
Okay.
Yeah. Considering whether or not she should have went to that mart herself and bought a huge stack of alcohol.
Wait, did we buy some decent movies while we were there?
Yeah, by the way, if there were any terrible romance movies there, Darren definitely picked them up, okay?
I don't think that there were any movies there, but if you
terrible.
mention anything about movies, Morden will probably mention there should be some at the Citadel.
Good. Finally. So we don't have to watch that piece of shit thing that you've always put on, Darren.
I don't know what you mean. I've only put on the best movies.
Right. Best movies. Yeah.
It's not my fault you guys don't have any taste.
Otto walks up to Crystal Chen and he says, curiously, is this food up to snuff for you, Doctor?
Affirmative. It is up to snuff.
If it pleases you, I can try to come up with a compote or two.
Out of character. What is that?
Compote is, think of it as sort of like a jam or jelly normally used as topping on desserts or on breakfast foods like pancakes. Like a blueberry compote, for example.
Yeah, got blended bits of fruit in it as well. So
yeah, blended bits of fruit. Yes. Or all I heard was compost. No, not compost. Compote.
Is it Nilaz? Is she here as well? Nilu?
Nilu, are you asking in character? But she's not currently there. She's not currently there as the pie jack hops up in front of you. Pretty much every time the cat appears, I'm like, I'm just gonna pretend that Lucas pops up next to you.
Okay, well, Lon is kind of giving a few bits of pancake to Lucas. He's like, did anyone call Nilu up for breakfast?
Informatively, I have not seen her this morning. She may still be in the engine room.
Well
Yeah.
then, Loon, you should go and fetch her.
Yeah, I guess she took your order too seriously.
Well, last I saw, she was
In
pretty
agreement.
excited about the engines in this thing.
Although
So.
you should save them for Nilu.
the krogan nods as he enters back into the kitchen area.
I mean, is there not like a communication thing that could call her up here?
Well,
I'm sure there is.
There is on the up on this in the CIC deck, but
We should really install like a breakfast, dinner, lunch bell thing in here.
for now, Lune, go and get her. Come on, go on, Casanova.
Wait, what? Just kind of stands there, glares at Aya for a minute before walking off, rumbling under his breath about stupid humans.
We can hear you, you know.
Curiously, the Otto says, "What is the age of consent for Quarians?" Otto asks from the kitchen.
I have no idea.
I am not answering that!
So you're into Quarians, big guy.
And here I thought that Otto didn't make jokes.
Humorously, ha 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 ha.
Concerned. Where did you learn that? To have that kind of humor?
Admittedly, bad influences from Darren.
I knew it.
Honestly, man, I don't see why you think I'm a bad influence. I was just encouraging your inner comic. It was just waiting to get out. You just, you know, you need to spread your wings.
Uh-huh.
Informatively, in the Kuna, we definitely have our share of humor. You should see my cousin. He was a stand-up comedian in the Kuna. Very funny, that one.
That sounds incredible. If we ever go to Kuna, that is the first thing we're doing.
Yeah.
Proudly, I will definitely have to take you someday. That is, he then stops, sadly, if the Kuna was still there.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment we're in a universe where everyone isn't dead, so...
Well,
I mean-
everyone might as well be dead if this universe is controlled by the fucking arsehole of the elusive man.
Crystal stands up and goes over to Aya and whispers to her, May I have a word with you, Captain?
Speak freely, Chen. Well, she will rise and follow her.
So we're getting out of range of the other people.
Well, the EXO office is just beside us, so the captain's
This time,
office.
don't want any, eavesdroppers. She learned her lesson.
We go into the captain's office and lock the door.
Try and decide if Darren decides to follow them or not. I think not. He's going to trust them.
Darren, stay.
Roll a perception check, both Aya and Crystal.
Oh.
Nice. Okay. So go ahead, have your conversation.
Are we ready to be open about our presence in this universe? We need to do
I
our
have-
nonsense.
No idea. We don't know anything about what's going on here. What we need to do once we get to the Citadel is to get some information on what has happened here since the end of the Reaper War. We have to figure out what situation this world is in before we can do anything. Also, we have to figure out whether or not we can actually get back to the vault, to our own universe.
Shouldn't we have that conversation now instead of being on Citadel?
Yeah,
Shouldn't
we
blend in?
should. But it was you who said in here. Oh well.
What?
Never mind, Chen. What we need to do is we need to figure out what we're going to do from now on, because we are.
So whose idea, out of character, whose idea was it that we head for the Citadel first before having a discussion with Morden?
Morden was the one who insisted that you go over to the Citadel to regroup, and figure out what the next step is.
Okay.
But shouldn't we ask him first the possibilities of going back, like the science and the technology behind his device? We need to know, like, have our options at this point, not just wait until we get to the Citadel, because things are going to happen on the Citadel just from common sense. They had a coup. They had a coup almost in the universe that we came from. So
they did.
There's a possibility that it was taken over.
Isn't the ghost child living on the Citadel too?
If you know about that, he might be. If you're aware of that.
Like out of character.
Yes.
Out of character. Yeah.
No, but if we got the impression that this yellow universe is controlled by Cerberus and the Elusive Man, then Chen would have theorized that the Citadel is also somewhat under the control of them as well. Any kind of major institution or spaceports corporation will be watched.
Yeah.
At the least. This is really going out in the open, so she doesn't want to go in without knowing more about the device and the chance of going back. Can we have that talk with Morden?
You can go to him right now if you want. You can go talk to him about it right now.
Or would you like to skip over all of that and just give us a flat description of things? We don't have to roleplay out because it's kind of difficult.
What are the key things that you're trying to find out from Morden? Is my big question. What are the key things?
Well, incidentally, I was hoping to speak to Morden at some point.
What about? But by the way, where is Trissy?
I thought she was also in the kitchen, the mess area, with Darren, Morden, and Otto.
You will find out that Trissy grabbed breakfast early.
Okay.
She grabbed breakfast already early, but she's around the ship somewhere.
I think what we'll do, have your small conversation, Alex.
Okay, if you want to talk to Morden, you can. Morden is probably in the laboratory of the ship.
She was in the mess area. Okay.
By the way, Darren, the only people that are on the mess area at the moment is you and Otto. Lucas seems to have wandered off.
Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought he was alone with Morden, in which case
currently Morden, you're told, is in his lab right now.
Okay, well, for now, Darren's not going anywhere then.
Okay.
He'll come out later. Sorry for all that confusion.
Do we need to go back to Crystal and Aya? Are you guys still conversing?
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish your conversation.
I think we should have a conversation about everything. So, I think you're right. You're right that it's better to do it before we arrive, and we need to figure out everything. So, just give me a second, and I'll summon everyone. And I will go to the console in the captain's room and talk over the comms and say, hey, everyone, please meet up in the comm room up on the CIC deck as soon as possible.
When you say everyone, you mean all hands, right?
Yeah.
As in everyone. Okay.
As in everyone.
So let's switch over to Lun then. Lun, you go down into the engine room, and
elevator rides.
The engine room, one side of it is filled with papers and sketches and notes, and there you see thread or yarn connecting from one paper to another, and just by looking at the notes you can see that it's just full of very complicated mathematical schematics. I guess what you're trying to you can probably deduce is that Nilu spent a lot of time dissecting this engine and trying to make sure that she knows every nook and cranny of it. Nilu is at a desk nearby, and she is asleep. There's several papers that she has her head on top of a stack of papers with, again, scribbled with notes, with her head is on top of, and in her hand is still like a pen that you gather she's been writing notes with.
Kai just shakes his head and tuts, going, "She would have loved you as her daughter," and kind of taps her shoulder.
What? Salo? Oh, sorry. It's you. Good morning.
Good morning. You're missing breakfast currently, and we're in luck. Otto can cook dextro food, so we actually have pancakes.
Oh, Kila. That's wonderful. What time is it?
We'll check my Omni tool. What time is it?
I'm not sure how they tell time while they're in space, but it's basically the Earth equivalent of 10 o'clock in the morning, Earth equivalent.
10 a.m.
Roughly.
Earth time.
Oh, she says, I've been going over the schematics left and right. I think I finally got this ship figured out. Mostly. At least enough to keep us functioning
How long?
from wherever it is we're going.
What time did you go to sleep last night?
I lost track, to tell you the truth.
Well, come on, go get breakfast. Your brother will be angry at me if I let you starve.
That's probably for the best, Nilu says. I wouldn't want Salo to, I wouldn't want to starve into nothingness on my way to find Salo.
Kind of nods.
As you make your way up to the breakfast, you do hear Aya say that she would like to have an all-hands meeting, at which point Nilu says, well, I guess my food's going to have to be to go this morning.
Unfortunately.
Is there anything Darren wants to do before you guys meet, have your team huddle?
Okay, when Lun arrived, how close was Darren to finishing eating?
I think you were probably just starting your second helping. When Aya comes on.
Yeah, that was my impression. So he wouldn't stop eating to go do something else. So he'll possibly do something after the meeting, depends how it goes, but nothing for now.
Okay. So you guys are gathered. The people in the meeting room include the four of you. I think Crystal's about to say something. Are you about to ask something?
She wants to go and check on the scans, long range or short range scans of passively for any incoming ships or suspicious activity, Reapers, that kind of things.
Currently, it seems like everything is clear. Everything seems to be clear.
And just have a kind of a link from the main terminals to her Omni tool.
Sure, that's fine. You can do that.
Because if everyone is in a meeting, nobody's really watching outside. She wants to be aware.
Fair enough. Very smart. Very smart. You guys gather, and the people there are the four of you plus Otto, Trissy, Nilu. I think that's the only ones that are on the ship.
Yeah, we only had.
Yeah.
The only those.
Oh,
So
Morden.
you seven. Morden, and Morden's there.
Yeah. And funnily enough, there are exactly 8 chairs in there, so it's perfect.
Perfect. So, Aya, Trissy says, what's on the schedule for today?
What's on the schedule is that we are in deep shit, basically. We are in a whole different universe than where we were before, and we have no idea what's going on here. We don't know who won the Reaper War. We don't know what happened to the Reapers. We don't know we don't know anything, basically. And we need to know anything. We need to know shit.
Trissy says, in other words, our life just became a lot more exciting than it did in the last 3 years.
Well, yeah.
One way of putting it.
We still only have one movie, but that's another thing. We need information before we go anywhere off this ship, or before we even move the ship anywhere close to anywhere.
Can't we just wing it? Darren's put
Well, Darren, do you want to die? Because that's how you die.
I'm sure it'll be fine. The
Uh,
best that could happen.
well, a reaper ripping off your face, I think.
Well, yeah, but that was always a problem.
True. It's not like much have changed.
Yeah.
In any case, Mordin, tell us what you know. Also, tell us whether or not we can go back to where we came from.
I'm currently working on that, he says. As I said, when I was on the planet, I was running some tests just to make sure that I would actually be able to open up said gate. There was a little bit of interference the last time you guys went through. I'm not quite certain that this device is completely safe yet for us to travel to jump into the galaxies, which is why I wanted to go back to my laboratory proper, so that hopefully I would be able to come up with a way to make sure that this device is safe for us to do anything else.
Is there no way of contacting the vault at all?
Between galaxies? I'm afraid I don't have any such devices that are powerful enough to penetrate through reality itself. Unless you happen to have one. In which case, I would be more than happy to. He says, I would be very curious to do some research on it.
We don't have something like that, no.
Quick question: that machine's not gonna like explode or something, right? Because I imagine it's probably pretty powerful.
The reality collider?
Yeah, something.
Mr. Arnett, this is something that can penetrate through reality itself. Of course, there's always the possibility. Again, which is why it's very important for us to get back to my laboratory, just so I can put in necessary fail-safes to prevent such a catastrophe from happening.
Okay, so from a pilot's perspective, make sure it doesn't get shot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
In other
good.
words, yes. Any sudden trauma, heat, or anything of that nature can make the device very unstable.
Okay.
Before we get attacked.
So treat it like a grenade. Got it.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but effectively, if it makes it easier for you, then sure.
Well, we could possibly use that, and
In any case, we can always strap a bomb on it and toss it at some enemies if shit goes down.
Yeah. Next.
And then we'd be stuck here.
Okay. Next question. It's not like dangerous to use it too much or something, right? It's like you always see it in like movies and stuff where they travel between universes or whatever, and they do it too much, and then suddenly reality gets fucked up. That's not gonna happen, right?
There is always that possibility, which is, again, why I need to make sure that in my lab I can make it as safe as possible.
Any special reason why you had to place your lab at the Citadel? It's kind of hard for us to fly in a ship that's been exploded for, 6 years?
It's where he says, it's where our base is kept.
I've got a plan for that.
Base.
The resistance, he says. The resistance against the elusive man.
Uh-huh.
President Timothy, as he sometimes would like to be referred to as.
On another same kind of similar note, this communicator here, this ship was Shepard's, right? Or when he became a Spectre for the first time. Do you think that these communicator might be able to link up to the council?
What council? The council was disbanded when President Timothy took over.
Okay, so that's new.
Shit.
What is it like in the Citadel? Before the Reapers took over, I lived there. Is it any different, do you think?
He says, well, ever since the elusive man allegedly saved the galaxy, he's pretty much has become hailed as a hero all throughout the galaxy, all races alike. The Citadel is a place filled with Cerberus propaganda, basically elevating Timothy and his greatness and all of the wonderful things he's been doing. The Resistance, however, insists that they are able to see past this propaganda and knows that deep down inside, the loyalties of the elusive man is in the progression of humanity itself. However, so far he's been very good at, I guess, brainwashing the general populace. And I must say, it's hard to blame them, considering, once again, he is the one who single-handedly saved them from the Reapers and total destruction. It's kind of hard to argue against that. The entire galaxy owes their whole existence to this man, and that makes things a lot more difficult for us at the Resistance to convince anyone to go against him.
What about Omega?
What about Omega?
Yeah. What's it like on Omega? Do people believe him there? Because I doubt that Arya Tuluk would believe him.
The approval rating of President Timothy in Omega is very low, yes. However, since then, President Timothy has sent several of his agents over there to try to keep order and peace.
So, what is he... Like, I don't doubt the fact that the dude is an arse, but what is he actually doing wrong?
Very subtle things. Little by little, he has... Disbanding the council itself was one of the big red flags, one of the major red flags. He pretty much has taken control of the jurisdiction of the entire inner galaxy space. He has placed many of people in very prestigious positions, some non-human, but for the most part he is systematically replaced a lot of the leaders of various planets and colonies with human ones. Again, very discreetly and subtly. He has not done anything to the public that is outright shady, I guess is what you were saying, but many people, I guess, consider our leader to be a little paranoid.
What's happening elsewhere? Like, the Quarian fleet, are they still alright?
He says the Quarians are doing just fine. I believe, if I remember correctly, they did manage to take back their homeworld.
So that stayed the same.
What about the Geth? What happened to them?
Remember those agents and forces I was referring to that are supposed to keep order at Omega?
Yeah.
You're speaking about them.
Double shit.
When the Quarians took over their homeworld, the elusive man decided to give the Geth an offer they could not refuse.
So
Give them a new purpose.
it sounds like the dude's on a bit of a power trip. What happens when people talk out against him?
We have reason to believe that people who are vocally against the elusive man, reports say that they have had mysterious coincidental accidents or disappearances. None of which, of course, can be traced back to him personally. But we've been keeping tabs on the activities of him and his agents. And while he is able to keep a lot of things covered up, we have seen evidence that proves, at least that proves that they have been the cause of many of these accidents or disappearances.
Right.
So,
What about the other homeworlds? Thessia, and so on.
The Asari, of all the races, the Asari seem to be the race generally who is the most supportive of the elusive man. Although we believe that President Timothy considers humanity to be superior to all other races, I think he sees the Asari race as a close second. Whether or not the Asari and Thessia believe that they are being seen as or treated as second, he says in quotes, it looks that they are completely oblivious to it. especially considering all of the funding that the elusive man has been sending to Thessia. I believe the Asari are basically being bribed.
There's one thing we haven't asked, which is kind of important, and that is, what about our people? You know, kind of need to sort them out first. No offense to you guys, but it's not our universe.
Your people?
Yeah, the people back in our vaults. You know.
That's what we're doing, isn't it? We can't get back, so we're going to the Citadel so we can go back.
Well, yeah, but if we're getting involved in, I don't know. Sounds like we haven't got a plan for what we're going to do with our people, though.
As a scientist, I fear, he says, it's possible that I could simply just take you back to the planet and put you back where you were. But as a scientist, knowing the risks involved with that, I cannot in good conscience do that until I can make sure that I set up the proper precautions on this device.
Well,
how long would that take?
It depends, he says. Days? Weeks?
Rather than putting us back, couldn't we just take the people from the vault and bring them here? I mean, our universe is kind of destroyed.
That still requires us to activate the device.
Yeah, I just mean, once you do.
That is a possibility if you believe that your circumstances here would be a lot better than your circumstances over there.
Doesn't sound like it for half of us.
Doesn't sound like you're going to die here.
How are you hiding the device and your research on the Citadel?
He says our base on the Citadel is hidden with... I'm trying to think. I'm not very savvy when it comes to like cloaking technology or technology that is meant to hide you from wherever it is. But basically,
or just
stealth.
Yeah. He'll basically tell you that there is technology that their bases use to essentially put up a front of where their base actually is. It looks they have not been caught, at least as far as they know, they haven't been caught yet. He will explain to you that a lot of the reasons why they decided to set up their base on the Citadel as opposed to on Omega is because there's so many non-supporters of the elusive man in Omega. That would probably be the first place they would look for resistance. It makes the most sense for there to be a resistance there. And therefore, because the elusive man has like an army of RoboCop geths there on Omega, the chances of them getting caught is actually less on the Citadel, where they can blend in amongst supporters, brainwashed supporters of the elusive man, versus on Omega, where people there are notorious for being anti-elusive man.
So basically, the closer they are to danger, the farther they are from harm.
Basically, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
You'd be surprised how well you can hide in plain sight, Doc. A lot of sight people don't care to look.
As long as us non-humans smile and wave and say how wonderful the president is on the Citadel, we are safe for now.
Who is your main funder?
He says the people that we recruit, we try to recruit people that are loyal, have connections, and sometimes Morden trails off. We acquire funds on our own. He uses the word acquire very strangely.
Yeah, so sometimes you follow the law, is what you're saying. Don't really do things.
What did Darren say?
So sometimes you don't always follow the law. You don't always do things the legal way.
All for the greater good of the galaxy.
They probably don't need the money anyway.
So we're going to be here for quite some time then.
Another question. What about this universe's version of us? What chances are there of us running into them? Because that would be strange and problematic and all around not good.
I
Well-
don't have any personal records on any of you, I don't think, on this universe, but perhaps if we are able to get into the CSEC office and break into their security systems, we might be able to pull up your files, if you're curious.
It is interesting.
That's actually a good question. Like, so, say, it seems like Darren's very carefully considering his words. Okay, so say someone died in our universe. Well, a lot of people died. Does that mean they could be alive here?
Very possible, I'm sure.
But they wouldn't be the same person. I mean, they would have had a completely different life. It's like,
Technically, no, not the same person. Different
It's like-
reality.
yeah, it's like a clone. So I mean, can't just assume they're the same, right? Sorry.
It would be interesting to look
beyond me.
through those CSEC files if we could.
Yeah.
Do any of you have hacking abilities? Have good hacking skills?
Well,
Uh,
I've got
I-
decryption skills.
That
Not
might help.
really.
I always had people for that.
No, not really.
Now, out of character, do you want to ask Hark instead of typing in the chat? Do you want to ask that question?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I just couldn't remember if in our universe did the Quarrens and Gaff join up or not. What happened there? Because I don't think we covered that.
I think we did. I think in your
I
universe.
know we got the world back, but was it by joining the Gaff or did we annihilate them?